Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Football RPG. We're going through our prospect profile series. Today we're talking about Jaylin Noel out of Iowa State. If you don't know, I'm Mike. That's Evan. Crushed it. I've been practicing. And listen, we don't have to say unofficial anymore. The combine is behind us. He is 5'10", 194. His dad said that he married for love. Sorry about the height, young buck. We have his RAS. So despite being a little bit smaller, 9.48 out of 10, highest jumper, longest jumper, good change of direction. Most bench press, putting the other receivers in the freaking weight room. Listen, there's a lot to like about Noel's game, but let's get into the numbers first. Evan, what do your spreadsheets say?
Yeah, so the spreadsheet right here that I'm looking at, we got 211 snaps out wide with 382 snaps in the slot. Gee, Mike, that tells me right there, he can play out wide. You know, he's not going to be forced in an alignment, forced into the slot. He has some scheme versatility, which is awesome. Love wide receivers with scheme versatility. Move them all around, get them to play different positions in the offense, be able to work that, use the leverage against the defense. He had 103 targets this last season with 67 receptions for over 1,000 yards, 1,012 yards. Only 302 yards after the catch, but he did have a 12 ADOT, so pretty big number that we're talking right there. He also had 2.64 yards per route run in the regular season. We talking behind the line of scrimmage. Didn't really do too much. Really, appreciated not seeing him get used that way. That was huge. Because we've seen so many of these receivers in this class be just pushed into that category of, hey, they're going to do everything right around the line of scrimmage. They're going to be looking at that. We're looking at 41. That was 23 season. Sorry about that. We're looking at 19 yards behind the line of scrimmage, 7 receptions. 8 targets, 6.7% of his total targets. That's like nothing. Awesome. Love that. What we love to see, though, is the deep yardage. 609 deep yards, 99.9 receiving grade on PFF on deep balls, 14 receptions, 56% reception percentage for 609 yards. Man, you want to talk about an absolute deep threat, somebody that can take the top off of defense, but also still absolutely work the defense in the short game. He had 43 receptions on 56 targets for a 76.8 reception percentage for 331 yards in that 0 to 9 range. So he can do it short. He can do it long. Just don't make him catch the ball behind the line of scrimmage.
I think that was part of Iowa State's offense. Like, they just didn't design a lot of touches there. I think if Noel was asked to do those things, we'd maybe be talking about him a little bit differently. Throw him in the Missouri offense. He's just going to be in the Luther Burden hellscape. But one thing I want to bring up, Rocco Becht, your days are numbered. I watched the Iowa State games. Brother, you have Jaden Higgins on one side, you have Jaylin Noel on the other. How did you only throw for 3,500 yards at Iowa State? Throw it to the massive guy. Throw it to the really fast guy. They're actually both fast, and both, like, Noel has very good contested catch ability. I don't know how he didn't set records this year, but let's get into the tape a little bit. So he's a twitched up athlete. He can be valuable to a modern passing offense. I think that he is a very solid mover. I did not expect the testing that we saw this weekend. I thought we'd see like 4.42 and, an 8 or a 9 RAS, not a 9.5. He really ate on in-breaking routes against soft coverage. So if they gave him any kind of space, he was able to stack them well, get them to flip their hips to go upfield, and then cut in and just leave all sorts of room there. I think that having both him and Higgins on the same field, sometimes the team they're playing against would try to take away Higgins. Sometimes they try to take away Noel. You don't have the kind of secondary skill to take away both of those players at the college level. I think best case scenario for an NFL team, you put Nolan as your wide receiver 3, put him in that Z or flanker role, and you're able to use him as a big play threat, designed touch threat, and just add another element to your offense. But for fantasy purposes, I'd love to see him as a wide receiver 2 for a team and just stack targets, stack targets, stack targets. So how do you feel about betting on, you put betting on a slot wide receiver, but he can play all over the place. Do you think that he is going to be stuck in that slot role at the next level?
I think it really depends on the offense that he goes to. There's some less creative offensive minds out there in the NFL right now. I think we get exposed to that every single year, and we get let down because of that. Sure, slot. He'll probably mainly play the slot, but once again, not officially going to be just limited to the slot. But it's somebody that can get open in short area, can get open deep, can stretch a defense. He can do a lot of things, which gives him enough ability to be able to stress any kind of nickel corner that they try and put on him, or any kind of safety that they end up rolling down in the box. If anybody puts a linebacker on him, just call a hot route to him and just get him the ball, because it's over.
It's over.
Just
barbecue chicken.
Yeah, okay. Barbecue chicken, burnt toast. Yep. It's just going to be quick, easy yards at that point.
Yeah. So a couple of team fits we'd love to see him on. Talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Maybe we still need to see Chris Godwin return from injury. Maybe Chris Godwin goes somewhere else. We still don't have word on that. Houston Texans, I think that he just brings what Tank Dell brings, but with a little more size. Not quite the same separator, but also a little more durable. So maybe he can fill in while we wait for Tank to recover. And I'm going to keep pointing this out as a team fit. The Carolina Panthers, for the love of God, get a receiver that can separate that is not 35 years old. Please. So just checked Tankathon mock draft, or the NFL mock draft database, which takes mock drafts from all around the league, puts them together, and then gives you about where you think this player will go. I will say, since the combine, last 3 from, so 2 from fantasy points, 1 from Pro Football Focus, Jaylin Noel has shot into first round consideration after the combine. Let's put the brakes on that. Let's say he goes day 2 to one of the teams that we have listed, the Bucs, the Texans, the Panthers. How would you feel about his dynasty price?
Yeah, I mean, a dynasty price at that point is most likely a mid to late second, because of the draft capital, because of the team fits. Obviously, each one of those teams has something going for them. Obviously, the Bucs have Baker coming back and doing his thing there. They still have Mike Evans to be able to draw away coverage. Maybe Chris Godwin comes back. If he doesn't come back, even more of a smash landing spot. Panthers, they need a body. They need somebody that can do something for Bryce to be able to try and figure that one out. So yeah, realistically, looking at him in that 25 to 30 range, I feel like is reasonable, which I guess would put him end of the second, early third. I think we're going to continue to see him get creeped up a little bit, and if he goes from what most people thought was going to be an early day 3 pick to a mid day 2 pick now, all right, well, that's going to steam him up even more. So maybe by the time we're doing our rookie drafts, you'll be able to see him in that mid-second, late second.
Yes. I just wrote an article for Football Guys. Go check it out, the Combine Risers. If their combine performance is good enough that they raise a round in the real NFL draft, that is good for their fantasy performance. However, if they are only being drafted in that round because they are fast, relative to their peers, you want to bet on the guy that's being drafted because he's good at football versus the one that's just really fast and shot up boards. Takeaway from that, we have to look at what this is going to look like. A lot of people were actually pretty high on him already and excited about him. I have moved him up to 27 in the latest Football Guide, or Football Guys Rookie Guide.
Mike, so, did I hear you correct? You're moving Noel up?
I'm moving him
what is
up.
This?
I don't think I'm shooting him up that high. I think
Well, it was a great episode, everybody.
And we're back in. I'm moving him up. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect his real draft capital to move up, which will cause his dynasty price to go up, which will mean that his hit rate should theoretically be higher. I'm still taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 running backs before him. So,
needless to say, Mike, what should the people do? Take the running back. Running backs.
If you take nothing else from this, if he goes on day 2, and there's a bunch of running backs to go on day 2, take all of the running backs first. But no, still, I like the player. I think he's worth betting on at a certain price. If he starts getting steamed up to that back end of the first, beginning of the second round for your dynasty drafts, I'm out at that price. Go get the running back. Anything else on Jaylin Noel today?
Cyclones, man. They're a whirlwind. You don't want to get stuck in the middle of them. And sometimes they spit out things that are useful. Jaylin Noel could be useful.
You're basically saying Jaylin Noel is the next Breece Hall, which doesn't make any sense to me. But be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. If you made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to check out written content, head over to lastwordonsports.com.
Don't let the goblins get you.